Hey, what's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Manny here once again. Welcome back to another episode of DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineups for the NBA, NFL, and MLB. And before I go on any further with the video, like always, guys, I appreciate a like in the video. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe down below. And do not forget to turn on those notifications like always, so this way you do not miss any of my new uploads. With that being said, it is Saturday, April the 14th, 2018. Major League Baseball 6-game slate today on tap for the main slate this evening. First video for me, MLB, after about 5 weeks of NBA. I apologize, I did not do MLB over the last 2 days. I needed 2 days to recuperate and get myself focused on MLB. As far as sharing it with you guys, I know more or less what I need to do to make my picks on a regular basis, but transferring this information over in a presentable way to my audience is obviously a new thing for me. So bear with me as I get more acclimated to sharing this information and doing the work necessary to be able to give you guys the best possible options every single day. Alright, so we'll just dive right into it. I mean, obviously I'm going to share with you each position, guys that I'm targeting, guys that I'm looking at. We'll start off with the pitchers. Obviously the top pitcher tomorrow is the Pittsburgh Pirates pitcher, Jameson Taillon. He has been pitching really great for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Right now he's pretty much, let me just get my fantasy crunch out here. Taillon, look at this, 58 and 43 in his first 2 outings this year, about 14.1 innings pitched. He's only given up 5 hits, 2 base on balls, 2 earned runs, about 16 strikeouts, and he has obviously 2 wins. He's been really dominant. He's been dominant on both sides of the plate, lefties versus righties. Lefties only batting 100 against him with a .127 WOBA. And the righties are not faring any better. They're batting 118 and 2.208 WOBA. What I like most about Mr. Taillon is that he mixes up his pitch. He has 4 pitches. He has the sinker, the fastball, the curveball, and the changeup. 42% of his pitches are fastballs, but he definitely throws the sinker a lot. That's why he gets a lot of ground balls. He averages about 48% of his balls hit are ground balls, 32% of fly balls. So he's more of a ground ball pitcher simply because of the sinker and the curve balls. 21% of his pitches as well, they go across the plate are curves, and he throws about 42% of his pitches fastball. Another thing that I like also is that looking at his statistics, balls that are being hit on him, 16% are hard hit balls, which is fantastic. That means the balls are hit very slowly. They're not even being hit as hard. So guys are right now not tattooing it. He's in a perfect matchup tomorrow. He's playing against a team, Miami, that really is not that good of a ball club. So I expect him to be lights out tomorrow, and I'm letting you guys know right now he's definitely on my list as one of the pitchers I will be targeting and playing on my lineups tomorrow. He'll probably be on most of my lineups. Other than Jameson, there are a couple of guys that are good plays here as well. Garrett Richards in a good spot against Kansas City. The Los Angeles Angels, they've just been like, really, they're one of the top teams in the league batting. Their offense has been really good. Garrett has done pretty well too. What I like about Garrett also, he's also a very good ground ball pitcher. 58% of the balls hit are for ground balls, so he's even doing better than Jameson. He has struggled slightly, just a little bit, with his WOBA against lefties, but not too bad. Lefties are batting 222 against him with a 365 WOBA. The 365 WOBA is really a respectable, range, is above average. So something to be a little alarmed about, but I don't think it's going to be a big deal against who they're playing against tomorrow, against the Kansas City Royals. He is going up against Junis. Junis has had pretty good outings as well. The only thing I don't like about Junis into tomorrow is that he has the Los Angeles Angels are batting 409 pretty much against him with a 544 WOBA. So actually not against him, they're batting 409 and 554, against righties. He is a righty pitcher who also throws a lot of fastballs, but with a 290 batting average, as a team, the Angels are the top team in baseball besides the Pirates right now as far as batting average as a team. They're batting 290, so they're number one in the majors, and that's a lot of work for Jonas tomorrow. I like Garrett Richards here against him. I think he's definitely in play tomorrow. Rich Hill is my third pitcher that I am looking at out of this whole 12 pitcher. Out of the 12 pitchers that are in the slate tomorrow, I really like basically Jameson, Garrett, and Rich Hill. There are some guys here that I ain't going to mention that I believe are good sleepers, but Rich Hill also in a good spot as well. The only concern with Rich Hill going into tomorrow is that he has struggled in his first two games just slightly with lefties. Lefties are batting 400 against him right now in a 446 WOBA, where he has shut down the righties with a 214 batting average and 288 against them. The other thing about it is that he's another one that throws a lot of fastballs. 32% of his fastballs, of his pitches are fastball. He gets 31% of them on the ground, so he gets a lot of ground balls as well. My only another concern about Rich Hill going into tomorrow is that 320. Just give me a moment here. 238 versus lefties. Arizona's batting 238 versus lefties. Is not that great. I mean, so he's definitely in a good spot. It's not like Arizona can really hit lefties well. And he's actually at home, which is a very, very good pitcher's park. LA is one of the top pitching parks in the league. I think they're probably number 2 or number 3. No, actually, Safeco Field, Seattle is number 3, and the Dodgers, looking carefully, they're number 2. So definitely good pitcher's park for Mr. Hill. I like him tomorrow. I think he's definitely in play. Other than Jameson and Garrett Richards, I definitely like Rich Hill. There's some pitchers down here in the bottom tier in some areas where I think it's more about, you definitely should concentrate on them as far as sleepers. The sleepers for me are Kendall Graveman. Okay, as you can see here, his last 3 outings, he's really been in the red. Hasn't really performed that well, but give me 1 second here. But against Seattle, as you can see, he pitched a 25 spot in the last meeting last year. 6 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, 4 strikeouts. What I also like is that Seattle basically has had 54 bats against him. They've only had 13 hits, so they're only batting 224 against Graveman. Only Cano has hit him well out of the whole entire team that is still part of that team from last season. For his entire career, 7 out of 22 at bats he's gotten a hit. So also keep in mind, like I said before, is that Safeco as well as like Dodger Stadium that I mentioned for Rich Hill, they're very, very pitcher friendly ballparks. So I mean, a lot of room there for balls to be in play, and it gives Graveman a better chance. I like him here as a sleeper. Someone definitely you guys should definitely keep an eye on. Another guy that's a sleeper is actually his opponent, Marco Gonzalez. Marco Gonzalez, the Oakland A's have not done any different or any better than Seattle has done with Graveman. Gonzalez has his last time out against them, he put 27 fantasy points in 4 innings against Oakland, but Oakland only is batting 167 average with a 147 WOBA versus Mr. Marco Gonzalez. So definitely keep Marco Gonzalez in play and in your minds if you want a low cost pitcher here. He's only 5,800, so he's a pretty good price. Pitchers that we definitely want to target as far as getting hitters, there's always a few. I definitely like Clayton Richards against the San Francisco Giants. I really like, meaning that I like the Giants hitters against Clayton Richardson. Clayton Richardson and the Giants definitely have had success with Clayton. They're batting 323 against him, with a 388 WOBA. They have hit 6 home runs, and they've also driven in 25 RBIs against him already. Mr. Gorky Hernandez is 3 for 7 with a 427 batting average. Posey is 8 for 19 with a 421 and 2 home runs. Panic is batting 261 with a 6 for 23 and 2 home runs against him. Belt is 5 for 18 with a 278 batting average and 2 RBIs and 2 doubles. And Blanco is 3 for 6 with a 1 double and a 500 batting average against Mr. Richards. So definitely, if you're looking for 1 or 2 players or maybe a 3-player stack, San Francisco against Mr. Richards is a good stack. Another hitting stack that I like also for tomorrow is the Pittsburgh Pirates. Obviously, they're the second best team in the majors, batting .272, just right behind the Los Angeles Angels. They're actually, another thing that's really important in this game is Mr. Richards has been having trouble with righties. Okay, and righties are hitting .286 against him with a .343 WOBA, and he's going to face the Pirates, who are the second best hitting team in the league. And they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 6 righties that can really hurt them. Freeze is .333 against righties. Morgan is .337. Mercer .313. Frazier .300. Harrison batting .275. And then you're not even considering Dickerson and Polanco, who are lefties that hit righties very well. The Pirates have a good hitting team, and they're averaging 300 plus average versus righties right now. So I definitely like the Pirates over Richards. The young man, he just came from the minor leagues up and is only experiencing the majors right now. He's definitely going to get even a more ruder awakening today. So if you want to find a hitting stack, this is a good stack right here. I like the Pirate hitters versus Mr. Richards. Another one that I can definitely recommend is the Dodger hitters. Not all of them, but against Mr. Walker. Mr. Walker's had issues definitely against lefties, and the lefties in the Dodgers have hit lefties well. Have hit Walker well. Seager, Bellinger, and Peterson. Okay, excellent place for tomorrow if you want to stack them up against Mr. Walker. I definitely would. Would consider those guys as well. We will move over to first base, so that's pretty much with the pitchers. So you got a couple of stacks there, guys, and you got a couple of pitchers that I think will, you definitely should have in play. I'll just go over them one more time. Rich Hill's in play. Jameson Taillon and Garrett Richards are the top 3. I like Jameson as number 1 and Rich Hill number 2. Then, my sleeper pitchers for tomorrow, Marco, like I said, Gonzalez, and Kendall Graveman. They're both pitching against one another. Something tells me one of them is going to have a great game, and the other one's going to have a subpar game. I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being like a little miniature pitchers duel for 5 or 6 innings, with them probably not even giving up a run or only giving up 1 run. So don't be surprised. But the guys definitely you should target tomorrow will be Mr. Walker, Mr. Clayton Richards against San Diego, and Derek Holland is another spot too with the San Francisco players. I think I confused them, right? No, Derek Holland is pitching for San Francisco, yes. There are 2 San Diego players that have done well against Mr. Holland. If you wanted to just pair up Mr. Hosmer and Mr. Headley, you could stack those 2 against San Francisco's Clay Richards, and you should be okay too. Haas is 7 for 16 with a double and a home run and 2 RBIs and a .438 batting average with a .497 WOBA against Mr. Richards. And Chase Headley is 3 for 6, 500 with 1 double, 1 RBI, batting .500 and a .625 WOBA. So those are 2 guys that if you wanted to just throw in there as a stack, I would definitely recommend those guys as well. And then of course I mentioned to you Walker, the Dodgers against Walker with Seager, Bellinger, and Peterson. And then I also like, definitely my favorite is the Pirates over Richards, with all those righties that they got that are hitting very well against righties this year already, and Mr. Freeze, Morin, Mercer, Frazier, Harrison, Cervelli, you name it. And then you also have the lefties Polanco and Dickerson that hit righties very well as lefty batters. So yeah, definitely the Pirates are my favorite stack for tomorrow against Mr. Richards. As we move on, I'm going to go over a couple of the position players. As you can see, I only have 5 or 6 guys, and that's pretty much, you're going to see very few here because I've narrowed it down from 163 players, as you can see here, to my pool being 28. So, and by the time this is all said and done, and I settle in and I really look over who am I going to actually play, I'm basically going to narrow this down to 1 or 2 players per position, and really just play those particular guys. And then of course strategize my stacks for the stacks that I like. Hosmer, as I already mentioned, he's in play. Obviously he's batting what is that, .438 and .497 WOBA against Mr. Mr. Richards. So definitely he's in play. Buster Posey. Buster Posey has done well too. 12 for 29, 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs. No, 9 RBIs, 6 runs scored, 4 bases on balls, and a 414 average with a 485 WABA against his Mr. Richards as well. So he's done well. Definitely in play. So you got Hosmer and Posey. Cody Bellinger, definitely like him here against Mr. Walker, because Mr. Walker is struggling against lefties, and these guys hit lefties well as well. Even though they're lefties, they hit lefties. They have hit Mr. Walker well. So definitely Bellinger is in play, as well as, like I said, Seager and Brandon Belt, San Francisco and San Diego. Also another guy versus that Mr. Richards, the lefty. Brandon Belt has hit him fairly well. Brandon Belt, what I have here for Belt. Let me take a look. Brandon Belt. Well, Brandon Belt is he's hit 9 and 9 in his last few games. He had a 9 spot against them the last time he played against them, and then let's look here when he played Richards. As you can see, he had a 12 against Richards here. He had a 9.2 there, a 0 there, 1 at bat, so he didn't play much that day. And yeah, I know he's done okay with Mr. Richards. So Brandon Belt is in play. Adrian Gonzalez is definitely in play here as well. Love Adrian Gonzalez here. Is 9 for 18 with 2 base on balls, 1 home run, 5 runs scored, 3 RBIs, 5 base on balls, and a 500 average. All right, against Mr. Anderson. He's also has a 583 WOBA, so I definitely love Adrian here. He's in a great spot versus Mr. Chase Anderson, and as you can see, he has performed well. He had the day off today in the Met game. I believe he did not play 13, 12, and 29 in his last three games. And let's see, Milwaukee, hardly no records last year. He only played a few games against Milwaukee, but he did face Mr. Anderson, as you can see right down here. A 3 here with Anderson, but there goes a big one there, 27.9, where he had a 3-hit game, 3 at-bats, 3 hits, 2 runs scored, 2 singles, and a double. And of course an RBI, base on balls, and he even got hit by a pitch that game. So a big game for him that day. But Gonzalez definitely in a good spot, like I said, batting 500 and a 583 WOBA against Mr. Chase Anderson. So definitely in play. And Cervelli's here simply because he's a right-handed batter, and like I said, you can stack right-handed batters against Mr. Richards, who is having trouble hitting righties. Okay, and he has done fairly well too. As you can see, Cervelli 34.7, 31 and a 31. In 3 out of his last 4 games, he has crushed value. Okay, crushed it. And against Miami, it's going to be no different. He did 31 here, and he's facing them again, this time in Miami. It's not going to be no different. The Pirates should be able to pound the Miami Marlins. Second base, a couple other guys here. As you can see, there's only 5. My favorite play, obviously, is Joe Panic is one of my favorite plays here. Panic versus Richards is 3 for 3. He's only had 4 at bats against him, but he's 3 for 4 with 1 run score and a 750, of course, batting average with a 680 WOBA. I like him there. Kinsler against Junis is also in a good spot too. Kinsler 2 for 6 with 1 home run, 2 runs score, 1 RBI, 333 batting average, and a 483 WOBA. Now remember, guys, another thing that I want to mention is that I'm laying out some of these guys. Some of these guys haven't had tremendous at bats, and I noticed when I've done the research over the course of today on all these guys that I'm looking at and narrowing them down, a lot of them did not have a huge amount of at bats. It seems like a lot of players and a lot of pitchers that are pitching nowadays have not had a lot of outings against certain players. So this particular slate, there is a lot of pitchers here that have very minimal, let's put batters that have had minimal at bats against some of these starting pitchers. So it's very hard to gauge how well they would do if they were 3 for 4 one time or 1 for 4. We can't say that means that he's got that particular pitcher's number and he's going to just get busy and be able to put up those kind of numbers all the time. It's always good to see something of a long-term product where you see someone have 15 or more at bats against someone and have a 280 or 290 or 300 batting average and have a 350 and up WOBA, then you know that you're definitely seeing someone who's had great success with a particular pitcher, and you can nail it right on the head. But it's very difficult here. You just got to go with what do you feel. And right now I feel that Panic, as well as he's been hitting as of late, he's been doing well. We can look here. Okay, he had 12. Well, he actually had 3 bad games, but I know he started off the season fairly well. And against San Diego, there goes to 12.4, 3.3, 24.9. I just know he's in a good spot here. Richards is definitely struggling against lefties. Joe Panic is a lefty, and he hits lefties well. So I mean, and that's the reason here. Ian Kinsler, good spot as well. Kinsler versus June is 2 of 6, like I mentioned before. 1 home run, 2 runs scored, 1 RBI, batting .333 and a .483 WOBA. And then you got I'm not too fond of Marte. He's not in this list anymore. Cano also in a good spot here. Cano is 7 for 22 with Mr. Graveman. 3 doubles, 1 home run, 5 runs scored, 3 RBIs, 2 base on balls. He has batted .318 career-wise against Graveman and a .410 WABA. He is definitely the best play here by far, for tomorrow. So definitely consider Mr. Robinson Cano. We move over to third base. We got Mike Moustakas and Chase Headley. Those are the only 2 that I have right now, and I'm going to definitely use both of them. And if they both are playing and they're in starting lineups, they will be in my lineups tomorrow. Chase Headley and Moustakas have had the best success out of the guys they're facing against, and they don't have that many at-bats against these guys, like I just mentioned. There's a lot of players that have not seen a lot of these pitchers, but against Mr. Richards, Moustakas is 3 for 8 with 1 double, 1 run score, 1 RBI, and 2 base balls. He's batting .375 in that span and has a .405 WABA. Chase Headley versus Holland has 3 for 5, 1 double, 3 runs scored, 1 RBI, 1 base on balls, and he's batting .600 with a .625 WABA. So both of them are in play. They're in good spots. Richards and Hollins are both 2 of the pitchers tomorrow that are considered to have one of the worst ERAs, and not only that, they are going to be one of the ones that are going to have the most runs. As you can see, Graveman and Holland, there they go, 4.5 and 4.1. So definitely those guys you definitely want to have in play, guys that have been able to hit these particular pitchers in the past, and that's what I'm going with when I make my decision tomorrow. There'll be 1 or 2 or both of them in my lineups. Shortstop, let's move on. We got Eldridge Simmons, Mr. Corey Seager, and Brandon Crawford. I like more Corey Seager as my favorite play here. Brandon Crawford would be my second. Crawford versus Richards has faced him several times. As you know, Crawford is a lefty, Richards is a lefty, and Crawford hits lefties fairly well. He's 5 for 17, 6 for 17, 1 double, 3 runs scored, 2 RBIs, 3 base on balls, a .294 average, and a .347 WABA. The WABA is not the highest, but it is average. It is an average WABA, and I think he's in a good spot here with Richards, who's struggling against lefties, as I mentioned before. Corey Seager, I like him here against Walker. He's 4 for 9 against him, 1 home run, 2 runs scored, 4 RBIs. He's batted .444 against him with a .522 WABA. He is my favorite play here by far, and not only that, he's one of the guys that I would like to stack. As I mentioned before, I like the 3 Los Angeles Dodger lefties against Mr. Walker, who definitely has his troubles with lefty hitters, okay? And these guys hit righties very, very well. So I definitely like these 3 guys as a stack, and that's one of the reasons why he's one of my favorite plays here today. At shortstop, definitely consider Corey Seager of the Los Angeles Dodgers. We go to the outfield. I only have 4 guys here, and as you can see, there's 2 Dodgers and 2 San Francisco Giants. And as I mentioned before, I like the Giants as a stack, and I like the Dodgers as a stack, as well as the Pittsburgh Pirates. These guys just happen to be where when I have evaluated these guys closely as far as the outfield position, they have had the best statistical performances against the pitchers they're facing. Jock Peterson, like I said, there goes one of those lefties that definitely hits righties well, and Walker's struggling with lefties. He also has a history with Walker. He's 5'11", 2 doubles, 3 runs scored, 1 RBI, 1 base on ball. He's batting .455 against him at a .492 WABA. Mr. Kemp, also in the same game, he's 4 for 13 against Mr. Walker. 1 home run, 1 run scored, 2 RBIs, 1 base on balls, 286 average with a 370 WABA. So he's definitely in play as well. I like those two as a stack there. I like the 3 lefties, as I mentioned, from the Dodgers as a lefty stack. Andrew McCutchen has definitely done well against Mr. Clayton Richards. 4 for 10, 1 home run, 4 runs scored, 3 base on balls. Definitely, one thing about Mr. McCutchen, he definitely takes a lot of pitches, and he definitely fouls off. Like, he battles almost every turn at the plate. So he's definitely a dangerous hitter because of that. He's a good contact hitter, 400 batting average and a 523 WABA against Mr. Richards. And Gorky Hernandez, 7 for 11. My God, 7 for 11. What a great batting average there. 7 for 11. He's going to have a great batting average there. 636 batting average with a 605 WABA. He had 1 double, 1 run score against Mr. Richards. So that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, those are the plays I'm looking at. Like I mentioned, I like Gonzalez the best out of the first basemen. Just to, I mean, pretty much it's going to come down to it. I'm giving you some of my favorites. I like Robinson Cano as the second baseman for tomorrow's slate. I like here, if I want power, I want Moustakas. I'm probably leaning more towards Headley. In the third base, I'm still not I still don't have a decision there just yet. And over here, I definitely am not going with Simmons. I definitely like Corey Seager here as number 1, and I would say Crawford is in play as number 2. In the outfield, I definitely like Jock Peterson if he's going to line up tomorrow, which I'm sure he will be as soon as they look at those statistics. If they're looking at the same stats I'm looking at, Mr. Roberts, the manager, will put him in play in the outfield tomorrow, so I expect Peterson to be playing. McCutchen is definitely a starter for the Giants, so he'll be out there, and then we'll see what happens with Mr. Hernandez. But all 4 of these guys are in play. My favorite play is Jock tomorrow, and I like Andrew McCutchen here in the San Francisco game. And like I said before, guys, don't forget about those hitting stacks. If you like stacking players, that's one of my strategies that I use. I definitely look for the teams and the players that are best suited against the opposition's pitcher. And Pittsburgh going up against his young man Richards, who just came up from the farm system, and it's already struggled to start off in the majors, is going to have another tough day today against the Pirate hitters, who are just, and now don't get me wrong, the Pirates could just totally stink up the joint today, not hit the ball well, and this kid may pitch a gem. But that's the beauty about sports. That's why we all get up every day and we want to be a fan and enjoy the games, because we want that thrill of victory, that agony of defeat, and we always love that David facing Goliath thing. So this is what it's going to be like tomorrow, actually for today, for Mr. Richards battling this Pirates lineup that is second best in the majors as of right now, with a 272 batting average. So think about those stacks against Mr. Richards. Think about the Walker stack with the 3 lefties for the Dodgers. Definitely I am in on stacking at least 2 or 3 players from the Giants against Mr. Clayton Richards. And remember about the sleeper pitchers I mentioned to you. Don't sleep on the Gonzalez Graveman game. One of those 2 or both of them may pitch gems against each other. And that's basically it, man. And then of course the top pitchers, Mr. Talion, Richards, and Hill. Choose any one of those 3. I don't think you can go wrong. We all know with daily fantasy sports, especially with MLB, you definitely have to have a stud pitcher. Most of the time, you can get by with a mid-tier pitcher, but in this case, tomorrow, I would say definitely stick with Jameson. And if you don't like Jameson, definitely do take Mr. Rich Hill or not Mr. Gary Richards. And I think you guys should be okay. Now, not to say that Mr. Junis might not come off well, or anyone else, maybe even Matt Harvey of the Mets. There are other pitchers, but I like these. I think these are the best plays. So it's entirely up to you. I share with you a little bit of my insight and what players I'm looking at, and hopefully you guys found this to be of value to you, and maybe you'll be able to form a team out of the ones I just mentioned. All right. Good luck tomorrow. Good luck tonight with the slate guys. And like I said, man, as time goes on, I'll be able to give you guys more info, get a little more comfortable on the mic as far as what I'm sharing with you, and hopefully we all continue to make some money. I know I've been making my little money here and there, and I'm very pleased with it. Would definitely like to share with you and also give you guys an opportunity to do the same. So, good luck tonight. God bless. And your boy Manny is out. And remember, drop a like on the video. Comment down below anything you like. If anything you want me to cover more of. If you're looking to learn a few of the strategies or anything that you want to discuss, you can definitely comment down below. I'll be more than happy to chit chat with you with that. And other than that, if you've never been here before and you haven't subscribed, please don't forget to subscribe. And like I said, God bless everybody. Everybody, good luck tonight. And your boy Manny is out. Until tomorrow.